that you and your wife and your family is going through, both of you, with student debt and both of you in forbearance, dealing with this company that is predatory. One I think knows about Navient, is that how you pronounce it?
I think
Navient.
Navient. I don't pronounce it. I just read their emails and
Right.
answer their calls.
And you're a professor at a community college here in New York, trying to give back and teach our young people, but you yourself is stuck in this lifetime of student debt.
Correct.
So can we just tell us about, just starting with, how much do you and your wife collectively owe?
Okay. I owe probably upwards of 60,000. I'll do some quick math here. 60,000 plus. I know there's more than one. And let me open the other one. And 127,000. So we got about $200,000 just for me.
Right.
My wife's probably right there with me. If not, maybe she's a little less, but maybe not.
Right.
She's probably right there with me. So we're looking at about $400,000 between the two of us.
Right.
You know, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah. And how is this for you in terms of your stress, your mental state of being?
It's absolutely awful. A day doesn't go by where I don't think about it for a couple of reasons. One, I pay my bills, and I pride myself on paying bills. I've had my struggles. I've lost a job in my lifetime, and I never did any kind of bankruptcy or anything like that.
Right.
I always try to pay my bills.
Right.
And I work hard at it. Am I perfect? No, but it's important to me. But this debt, I just don't see how I'll ever be able to pay it back. When the interest I'm earning on these accounts is a third of my salary, I'm never going to get that. There doesn't seem a way that I'll ever get to that point where I can even pay these back and live.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. And you and your wife, how long have you been married?
We've been married 2003, so
2003.
15 years, right? A year with 2018. Yeah.
Do you have children?
We have 3 children,
Okay.
and that stresses me out too because I have a 12-year-old.
Right.
Fast forward 7 years from now, she's going to be looking at colleges.
Right.
And what am I going to do to help her?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to take out any loans, I don't think.
Right.
It means the burden's going to fall on her.
Right.
So we're working hard with her to try to keep her athletic and active and academics to do the best she can.
Yeah.
But I worry about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's no way my loan's going to be paid off by then. So I don't know where the future is, but it weighs on me every day.
Yeah.
I deal with panic and anxiety, and a good portion of it is that debt that I'm constantly thinking about. And it might sound crazy and like I'm making it up. I'm not. It's a serious thing. A day doesn't go by where I don't think about that hanging over my head.
Yeah.
And think about how when I'm 70 years old, it's going to be $500,000 or more. What am I going to be doing? How am I going to live?
Because of interest.
Because of interest and everything else. Yeah, this year alone, I mean, $5,270 of interest.
This is the email you got from Navient.
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't quite make a lot of sense. It
Right.
says unpaid principal, 127,000.
Right.
I'm rounding. Unpaid interest, 5,270. Then I got a second email with unpaid principal, 58,579. Unpaid interest, 20,535.
Right.
And it's very hard to follow. I've gone to the financial aid through the government. I've gone to Navient, and it's loaded with information that I
by
just
the
don't
way,
understand.
those of you who are tuning in, this is the very company that the Senator Elizabeth Warren disclosed recently in a report that they are guilty of fraudulent activities, taking advantage of past debt and charging interest to make billions and billions of dollars of vulnerable past students. We, as a state, should be cracking down on companies like these, and I look forward to going back in the Assembly to make sure that these type of predatory companies don't come and affect people like Ernie. So it's really fascinating to see actually the numbers that the emails that actually send you
it's scary.
back to back. It's very scary.
I mean, this is you wake up in the morning. This is the first email you see.
Right.
It's stressful. It's stressful.
Yeah. So when you hear about Amazon, you know, and Jeff Bezos getting $3 billion of our money, taxpayers' money, and you realize that, hey, that's actually our money, and there are mechanisms that we could institute where that money can be invested directly into you in terms of debt relief. What would you do tomorrow if we were able to execute on that plan and your $400,000 debt was relieved, canceled?
For one, the burden would lift off my shoulders. I would feel I once again have purchasing power in this country and be able to put money into the free market, which right now it's such a hard thing to do. I was saying, my wife and I, we make good salaries together, but we can't even, we struggle buying a car and getting a reasonable interest rate because all of this debt is appearing on our credit report and nailing our credit scores. And we're working hard to get that better, but this debt's always gonna be there. And it just blows my mind to think about, how hard this makes our lives.
So, I mean, without a doubt, you will put that money back into our local economy.
Absolutely, 100%. We would
buy homes, buy whatever, just your social, economic, contribution with, I think, and all economists would agree. What you do with that $400,000, the return investment to our economy is tangibly greater than giving $3 billion to the richest man on the planet.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's the argument that we're trying to make by pushing for this. And secondly, like, what do you say to the people, I hear two criticisms from certain types of individuals. Well, Ernie, you took out the loan. It's your responsibility. It's your fault. You shouldn't have taken it out if you couldn't pay it back. What do you say to those people?
When you're dealing with something like a college loan, you don't know. It's like a car. I know a car is a value, and I know after X amount of years, I'm supposed to have it paid off, and if I'm not, that's on me, but I knew what the value was. I didn't know what my salary was going to be eventually. I didn't know that I would settle here and the taxes I pay would be X number, and it's so many variables. It's not so finite. It's not as finite as buying a mortgage or buying a home or buying a car. It's something you're guessing. I'm guessing that if I spend this money on my degree, one day I'm going to bring in this kind of salary. But the money that it cost me, unless I'm making $1 million a year, it's nowhere. What's the word? I'm looking for the word, but there's no connection. There's no rationale. It's not rational to know that I had to spend this much on the education, but my salary is only going to top out at this number. And I don't know that going in. The first one I took out, I'm 17 years old. Excuse me, I'm 17 years old. I started college at 17. I didn't know a lot about this stuff. And my parents didn't know a lot about it. So I went into a college that wasn't more than I should have went to, probably, but I didn't understand. I didn't know. And if you want to blame me for not understanding at 17 years old, then you can blame me, but I work with 17-year-old students, and there's a lot they don't know, not because they don't want to know, just because they haven't had the experience, know. So that's one instance. But that's really it. It's just the numbers when you're starting it doesn't make sense. You don't realize how quickly you get from there to where I'm at. It was never my intention. It was never what I wanted. I really try to pay things back. I'm actually paying back one of them monthly, and I've been paying that back. I feel like since 1998. I feel like, and it's still being drawn out of my account every month. It's just has snowballed into this larger thing, and when I do that forbearance, I don't do it just I'm not paying it. I can't pay it. It's not that I don't want to. I have a mortgage. I have 3 children, and if you want to tell me I shouldn't have gotten a mortgage, I shouldn't have had 3 kids, then okay, if that's the argument you want to make, I have no argument against it, other than I'm living life like we should be able to live life. And my wife teaches. She teaches in a low income district. She works hard there. And she's just as bad of a boat as I am. Together, we have more than a house payment and more in student loans. So I can't make a house payment and a student loan house payment. If I could, I wouldn't be, stressing. That would mean I had plenty of money, but I don't.
And how about those people who often sometimes I hear saying, well, I pay my loans back. I worked hard. It took me 15 years, but I did it. So why should I, the legislator, help Ernie when your neighbor already paid back their loans back? Why? So what am I doing for that neighbor?
And I respect and understand that opinion and feeling, and I get it. But every situation is different. We don't paint each other with the same brush. Everybody has their unique set of circumstances, and I respect anyone who's been able to pay off all of that debt. there's people out there that do things I would never do, like
Yeah.
bankruptcy and things like that. To me,
Yeah.
that's me. Let me fix it.
Yeah.
But there has to be a point where you can be fixable. I'm not even saying I don't. I
Yeah.
do want to pay. I wish I could pay it back.
Yeah.
I'm proud of them for being able to pay it back.
Yeah.
But there's no options available for me to even pay it back and know that I'm going to live
Yeah.
and be able to afford all my other bills.
Yeah.
When they're asking $2,000-3,000 a month for a student loan payment, I don't have it.
Yeah.
So I'd love to pay it back. Find something that works
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
The plans they have out there that I've looked into, they're not helpful.
Yeah.
And some of them assume you're going to get a 5% increase in salary every
Right.
year. Some of them
Right.
won't even work with me because they say I make too much. And
Right.
to be honest, I'm sort of getting tired of hearing that.
Yeah.
That, oh, you make too much, you don't need help, because you got to look at where we live, and you
Right.
got to bring
Right.
that
So
in,
that's
make that part of your
So
decision.
that's an interesting point you're making, because people don't often look at the debt income ratio.
Right.
They just assume that, oh, if you took out a big debt for your advanced degree, then that was you made the responsibility. Serve part of New York, so you made that choice for your family. They assume that you're okay, you're doing well. But if you actually look and analyze the debt versus income ratio, it's actually very startling to look at those data.
I'm 90+% maxed on my debt to living rate, whatever it's called, on the credit reports. I'm about 90% maxed,
Right.
and I have minimal credit card debt.
Right.
Minimal. These student loans.
Right.
That's what's really doing it.
Right.
It's and I don't, yes, I live on Long Island, and maybe the thought is that I have, I live on the water and I'm here. I live in a 1,500 square foot, 3-bedroom home with 5 people living in it. I'm not living in a luxurious mansion where, 5, 6 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms. I found a place in a good school district on a busy road,
Right.
in a small home that we
Right.
could afford,
Right.
and have our kids go to a district that I'm comfortable with and they're comfortable in.
Right.
And that's it. Like, I'm not living way above my means. I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah.
I'm living, everything I'm living within my means, but this student loan debt puts me
Right.
outside of those means.
Right. So student debt is reached the second highest category of household debt last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's right below mortgage debt.
Yeah.
It is at the current rate that it's going. If Betsy DeVos and our Supreme Court have their way, we'll be reaching close to $2 trillion end of this year of student debt in this country.
Mhm.
I mean, it is a crisis that we have to manage. One of the clear signs of a country that's about to go into deep recession dive and a financial crisis is its public indebtedness. And we are at that breaking point, more so than 10 years ago. So I think we have a responsibility to focus on investing in you, Ernie, versus Amazon, because I got a feeling that if we relieve you of your $400,000, that return investment would be much greater to our local community.
Absolutely.
So that's the premise of our initiative, the New Yorkers Financial Freedom Act, and I hope that you and other folks who are in the same boat can rally around us and make sure that your voices are heard.
Yes.
That people should invest in people over corporations.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, this is a bad issue. It's a bad problem that I know many people in the same thing, family members, friends. I have an email here from a colleague. I won't share their name, but it goes back about a year or so ago where I shared my information with them.
Yeah.
And this particular person, same kind of problems. It ended with I don't have a clue as to we'll pay ours either. National priorities, a case study in depraved indifference. I mean, it was really interesting way to end an email. And he was creating a survey on his own and reached out to faculty in a similar situation.
Right,
So,
I love to get it. I love to come back and talk to your faculty. Anyone else
I'll
the same
send them a
boat,
note.
because-
So it's
Yeah.
a serious issue. And again, we're not trying, and I'm saying this from the heart. I love the country. I love the state. I love what I do for a living. My wife loves what she does for a living. We're not trying to beat any system. I'm not looking for loopholes, but there's a burden that it's grown impossible, and I just don't see a way with any kind of program, with anything, that this debt will ever be manageable and I'll ever be able to pay it back.
Yeah.
And I don't say that happily. I say that, you know, with a heavy heart, and it hurts and it burdens me to say it, and that's very true. Because I never planned for that. It just is the way it happened.
Yeah.
You know, more education I think is important. More time spent teaching younger college students, and I make that my mission here.
Yeah.
I talk to my students and I tell them why they're making a great choice going to a community college, and you know, and I talk to them about student debt and how it adds up so quickly. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm willing to fight this fight with you and try to help so other people. If I can't be helped, maybe we can help others. Don't get into the same situation.
Yeah, and that's the short-term solution. The long-term solution, we need debt-free colleges.
Absolutely.
And free tuitions.
Absolutely.
Make sure that our future generations don't fall in the same trap.
Absolutely. Education is an important part of culture, and if you're gonna, you know, it's turned into a big business.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly on the mark. It's becoming a for-profit, privatized activity, just like the mortgage housing activity for the last 40 years. And it's our federal government that's putting out these interest-bearing loans and putting people like you in a lifetime of debt.
Right. And they're even and now we're in with Navient. They do things over email now. Click yes, and we'll forbear you another 6 months without even concern or showing you or giving you numbers or making you understand. And I think I think they're failing folks because not everyone gets it, not everyone sees it. Even me, when I see, like, I understand that it's happening, but when I see those numbers in the email, I'm like, oh, there's another 20,000.
Well, I appreciate the honesty, your candid answers. You know, I was just at an event last week, and I was in front of an audience and asked people who in this audience, mostly students and professors, who has debt, any kind of debt. And I would say almost 95% of the people raise their hand. But I know for a fact that every single person in the audience has some sort of debt.
Of course.
And afterwards, I asked a couple of students, well, I didn't see you raise your hand. Is that because you don't have any debt? I was like, oh, no, actually, I have some debt. I was just embarrassed. So there's a lot of us, even in a safe environment, afraid to speak up because they don't want to be judged by peers and others. And I think it's about time we end that culture of debt shaming people. It's gotten so ugly that we can't have honest conversations of some of our failures in our markets. There's a failure in our higher education market, and we need to address it and have honest conversations. We can't do that if we're too busy shaming people who are in debt. So Ernie, you speaking up, I think will open up a lot of other folks to step forward and share their stories. I appreciate you taking the time, and I look forward to the fight next couple of months together.
Thank you. I thank you for doing this, for looking out for the, you know, for the people of the state and hopefully eventually the country, because you know, this is why we look to our politicians. You know, there's so much that goes on now with all the stuff we see on TV, but it's you guys at the lower levels that work and do this stuff for us, and you're the ones who should be put on TV and talked about. You know, because you all are in this for the right reasons, and it's obvious, and so I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.